reason that you lose. Don't let pride be the reason that you lose.
What's up, y'all? This is the Plain Black Rapper Podcast, and I'm your host, Nytelife. Thank you for joining me again for episode 60. This one is called Fear Itself, which is very important to me because, I suffer. I think we all suffer with it. Doubt, fear, uncertainty about things that we do, not only on a daily basis, but just as far as our the things that we're looking to accomplish. It's a lot of fear that goes into that. It could be a lot of fear going into just going to work or, raising kids, all types of things. But there's fear involved in a lot of these things. So I wanted to basically touch on that today. Just the normal stuff, make sure you like, subscribe, share, good feedback on the clips and stuff that's on YouTube and that is on TikTok and that is on Instagram. So thank y'all for y'all feedback and interaction with those clips and stuff too. So this will be no different. More stuff to come from this one, and hopefully we get good feedback from this one as well. Well, just to get into the topic, fear itself. First of all, it's okay to be afraid. I think we build up this, this kind of attitude that we can't be fearful of situations. We can't be fearful of things. We can't be fearful of activities, but you can. It's not a weakness. We often think that fear is a weakness, that it is something that holds us back. It's something that is looked upon as you can't be scared in a moment. Stop being a punk. Go out there and get this shit done. And you can't look at it like that. Fear is very natural. It is something that can be used to be built upon. There are so many productive energies that motivate and then inspire you to overcome when it comes to fear. And I think you have to start everything in fear at some point, especially when you're doing something for the first time. There's going to be fear. There's going to be doubt. What if I don't do this right? What if I break this? Or what if I mess this up? And what if somebody gets hurt? Like there's a fear, a first time fear with everything you do. I don't think anybody just jumps in and just starts doing shit because that's just not how it works. But that's okay. And I think we have to be okay with that and understanding it. Even if it's not a first time activity, you have to have that nervousness. When, performing, I still get nervous before I go on and rock. There's a nervous energy that goes on when I try to put this podcast on, because I don't know if the subject matter is going to go over. I don't know if people are going to relate to this. I don't know if people are going to be like, well, geez, this guy talks a lot and this is why do I need to hear this? Why is this important to me? And you have those moments where you are fearful, but you can overcome that. And you can use that as motivation for you to move forward. We always ask ourselves, can I do this? Am I good enough? There's so many people out there that's better than me in the same space. Who's going to care? Just like I just said, who's going to care? But you have to be able to push past the fear in order to move forward. People have fear in not having resources, not having the time, not having the connections. I don't have the money. Get out there and get it. The only way to be able to push past fear is to push past fear. You have to go out and experience. You have to go out and get these things. If you don't have the connections, go out and network. Those are not the easiest things to do because that person to person, hand to hand combat, or not combat necessarily, but conversation face to face, that getting over the mentality of selling yourself. And all you're doing with networking is telling people how dope they are and then selling people on how dope you are. That's all it is. That's all networking is. building trust, building relationships, building an opportunity for somebody to be able to believe in what your vision is, letting them know that you believe in their vision, because nobody in those situations when you're networking does not want their ego stroked. They're going to want that. Nobody just wants you to come with a hard sell of what you have to offer and what you're doing, as opposed to not having reverence for the things that they do. You have to be able to stop and pause and tell them that, hey, I really admire the fact that you're able to do XYZ, and I'm looking to get into the space. This is, some of the things that I was thinking about doing. And I wanted to know your thoughts on it and see if we can, possibly, exchange information, and it will be okay to talk to you as a resource. Or help me get to where I need to go, and there's nothing wrong with that. um, Time is a construct. Building relationships is effort through conversation. That's it. um, Funding is saving and showing folks why they should invest in you. That's it. That's what it is. It's not this whole thing where it stops you from doing anything. You can GoFundMe, you can crowdsource, you can you can ask for money from family members to be able to help and support your dream. You can, just save your money. You just have a 9 to 5 job and put money away to be able to fund that. The funding for this is through work. I don't have a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow that I can go tap into every time I need to tap into it to pay for, these subscriptions to stuff, and and do all of that. You have to be able to have money to do it. You can't play the game with no money. So you have to be able to invest in yourself and invest in the things that you need in order to have the tools that you need to get by. Um, you can't sit here and expect not to find ways, because you can find ways. You can find ways. Don't let that stop you. We let things hinder us from getting to where we're going because we look at everything as obstacles and think that they're just so insurmountable that we can't ever get past it. And that's not true. It's not true. You absolutely can do that. You can work harder to get where you want to. You can go out and create these connections and be out in the public and do things and build a customer base if you need to build a customer base for your product. You can go out here, and if you're a musician, you don't have to have the biggest and best shows. You can go out and do the open mics and work the chitlin circuit and do everything you got to do in order to be able to get yourself on. You have to do a lot of those and do a lot of relationship building, and you know, um, you know, kissing babies and shaking hands, just like you on just like you on the you on the campaign trail. But you still have to do that. That's all relationship building, and that's having people believe in your product, and you notice your product is good enough to relate to somebody, then you won half the battle anyway. So just go out and do that. We have these situations. The Olympics is going on now. What does the Olympics do better than any platform ever? They tell the story of triumph. Every one of these, every one of these athletes, whether they go through situations of poverty, whether they go through situations of mental health, whether they go through situations of, they may have came from situations of abuse. It may, regardless of what it is, the stories are built impoverished neighborhoods. Like they build a story to tell you about them, to get you emotionally invested. They only have so much time to get you emotionally invested before you see them compete in the area that they're competing in. And they do that best. They sell that. They sell that. And what they selling you on is fear. They didn't know how they were going to get out. They didn't know how they were going to get here. They don't even know what they were going to do to get here, but they got here. So it's fear based, it is overcoming fear based, and it is triumph. Even if they just get to the podium, they still won. I mean, the fact that you even at the Olympics, though, like you won. You're there. Nobody could take that away from you. It's like being a Grammy nominated artist or producer. The nomination holds weight too. Not just having the Grammy. The nomination holds weight too. You're there. Out of all the people in the world that do music, that work in your space, you were nominated to get a Grammy. All the people that worked hard in your space, you were the person that made it to the Olympics. Even you making it to anybody's stage to be able to perform, or you um, you may make it to work for a company that you've always wanted to work for. I still can't believe that the company that I work for because of how long and how much doubt I had even be able to get in there. I had to turn in over like 400 job posts to get there, to even just get in the door. And there's so much fear and so much doubt and so much uncertainty that's involved in that. But you have to just keep your head down and keep going. And basically just throw shit at the wall and see what happens. Something's going to happen. That's just up to you. You have to be able to push through whatever it is that you need to push through to get to where you need to go. I know it's like a common theme in these pods, but man, this is the things that we stand on. This is the things that I stand on. You have to. You have to. No one's going to just walk up and give you a damn thing. You're going to have to work for that. And working for that comes through, what if it doesn't happen? What if I don't make it? What if I fail? So, who cares? You take what you learn from failing and just go out and apply it and remix it and do that shit again. But you can't let fear be the reason why you don't do things. I'm scared. I don't. I'm not a swimmer, but I know I need to learn to swim, and I'm afraid to go. I'm afraid to go swim. I try, but it's like, go learn. You gotta go learn. Um, these Fear is your opportunity to triumph and overcome. Fear is definitely that. You know, it's building. It's just the building blocks of success, and you are one step closer to building your montage when it comes in. It's just the like I said with the Olympics, it's that building that montage of what happens. Like, they came from here, they started at humble beginnings, and through work and through perseverance, they got here to be here at the games. Like, this is what happens. And it's up to you to be able to build your own montage and be able to build your own narrative and be able to build your own, you know, your own path of success through that fear and uncertainty. Um, I cherish these things because I know people and have people around me that have mental health issues and anxiety so bad they can't even get out of the bed sometimes. And when you start talking about fear, that's real fear. That's real fear. Is the people that suffer mental anguish and go through periods of anxiety and debilitating like fear. People like firefighters that got to run in burning buildings and save people's lives. There's fear involved in that. Anybody that goes out here and risk their lives and, for paramedics and stuff like that, like they have to, they're responsible for saving a life. And sometimes you don't save the life. There's fear involved in that too. But just going back to what I was saying as far as the mental health space, I got a friend that I would like to bring on this podcast at some point, and we've been talking about it for a minute. I just want to make sure that he's comfortable with coming on and telling people about his story. Um, he has anxiety and fear that dominates his day to day. all the things that I take for granted, like running to the store, doing errands, catching an outdoor event, visiting folks and stuff like that. These are literal crushing decisions that he has to make if he can do it or not. And sometimes he just can't. Sometimes he just can't. I went out and I was in town to visit, and I'm like, hey, my birthday. Um, I was in town. I wanted to make sure that I came to see you. And he couldn't do it. Things were just too bad for him mentally for him to be able to go outside. And I understand that. I wasn't upset. I wasn't hurt by it. I understood it. Because when you're dealing with something as tough as anxiety and as tough as that debilitating fear, you got to put yourself first in that situation, and you know how better to manage it than I do. So you got to do what you got to do what you got to do. And um, I do marvel at the fact of him doing other things. He's not just crawling in a hole every day and not doing anything. He goes and makes his way to fight every single day just to go to the gym and just be able to work out because he knows his health is important and he wants to take care of himself. And he does that when he has to. He pushes through all of that garbage and stuff that he has to deal with and goes out and busts his ass. And I have a very strong appreciation for that when you see a person that, despite the fact that they're going through the things that they're going through with that, especially with mental health, and still pushing through to be able to get things done that have to be done. It's never going to be a choice of him and his kids. It's never going to be a choice of him and his wife. He's going to pick them every time. And he's going to push past these things that he needs to push past. Now, the other marginal things that come up, he may not be able to do. And sometimes he has really bad days where he can't do it. But he's still strong enough to persevere and push forward through when it's needed, when he has to be counted on, when there is no other person that can do what he needs to do. He will push through that. And it takes an extraordinary amount of fortitude to do that when you have mental health issues. And I have a few friends that have mental health issues. I have mental health issues sometimes. I have family members that have mental health issues. It's tough. But sometimes the fear in that will push you through as well. And when you have to make those choices to still do it, regardless of what anything and any situation is telling you to shut it down, and you still pushing through it, that's amazing. That's amazing. I think these things are factors in us being successful. When things impede our path, we still have to push through. Like I say sometimes, get out there and be somebody. You have to get out there and be somebody. You just got to go through it. And I think mental health and anxiety aside, let me make sure that I differentiate that. But when you're talking about your normal day-to-day struggles, or when you talk about you trying to do something that is going to be to the detriment of your success, it's push past making an excuse and make it something that has to be. Push past the excuse to make it the priority. Push past the excuse to make it the priority. When it's priority and when it's a main objective, prime directive, you just gonna do it regardless. And I think that's how you have to treat the things that you cherish, you want, you love, you dream of. You got to treat your dreams in the same manner. You have to treat your dreams in the same manner. You have to push through that stuff. You have to push through the past failures that you had. It may not have worked out. It may have been people that saw it, shitted on it, told you it wasn't good, told you it was terrible. You have to push through that. Regardless, you have to return. Sometimes there is legitimacy to the fact of you not being good at something. That happens. Sometimes you're just not good. And you recognize that. And anything can be worked on for you to be, journeyman, adequate, just knowledgeable about the situation. But sometimes you're not gifted enough to be able to do that, and that's okay. But where you're not gifted enough, you can also be able to provide hard work for you to get to an acceptable level of where you are. I mean, you find these situations where people are you wondering like, man, you're watching like the NBA and you're like, man, that's why is this dude on the roster? How did he get there? He can't jump. He's not very, very athletic, but good defender, good screener, good passer, plays good situational basketball, high basketball IQ because they worked on cultivating that, which makes them a value, a person of value. They make themselves a person of value there because of what other things, the intangibles that they have that they can provide that nobody else can provide. The run, jump, dunk guy, the shoot from 30 feet guy may not be able to. Somebody has to screen to get that dude open. Somebody has to get that rebound. Somebody has to, get those steals. Somebody has to D up the best player on the other team. Somebody has to do that. Sometimes those guys are just specialists and they can get it done. The stat line might not look that good, but they provide the service that's needed in that time. And sometimes when you are doing things and you have a want and a need and a love to be able to do it, but you don't have the natural ability and makeup, you can still do those things. I tell my son, he loves basketball. Basketball is like his North Star. And I tell him, if it ever gets to a point where you can't play basketball anymore, then find other things to keep you around the sport that you love. Learn how to coach, learn physical therapy, learn, sports analytics, learn other things that will keep you around the sport that you love. Just because you can't be out there on the floor doesn't mean that you can't be around the sport. You can. It's not an indictment of how good you're not. There can't be an indictment against love. If you love something and you love to do something, I love to do this. I love hip hop. I love rhyming. Like, if I get to the point where I just can't do that anymore, then I'm going to find a way to still contribute. I'm going to work on mixing and mastering. I'm going to keep on doing that. I'm going to write. I'm going to try to help cultivate new artists. I'm going to do things that's still going to keep me around the sport. I don't necessarily need to be out in front in the face. I need to just be a part of the sport. And even in podcasting, if it gets to the point where this is just stale and people are tired of seeing me and tired of hearing the message, then I can always teach people to do what it is that I do. Give them game. Put somebody else in this seat that's going to be more applicable for people to see and to want to engage with and to want to do things. I can pass the baton to somebody else. That's fine. No problem being a producer of something. It's fine. But you have to be able to put away the fear of that, of failing when it's not working, to be able to know that you can step aside and still provide. You still can. You don't have to be the guy in order for you to be in the sport or be in the thing or be in the business that you love. You may not be a great CEO, but you may be a person that can provide um, some type of level of knowledge because of the experience that you went through. Even your failures can be somebody else's successes if you are contributing that. You don't have to let those things just dominate to the fact where you completely walk away from it, because walking away from it completely just going to hurt your soul, because you're empty. You walked away from something that you love. You gave up on it because of your fear or because of your disappointment because you didn't make it. Is stupid. You still have other things you can provide. The fact that you have found a way to get yourself to the point where you made it to streaming, you got yourself to the point where you rapped over a beat, you got to the point where you created a business, where you created a product, you got to the point where you sold anything at all, 1, 2, 10, 10,000. You sold something. You did that. If you did that, that's experience. That's experience. That's something to build upon. That's something that you can share with somebody else. That's something that you know the process. You've made the donut. Remember the donut conversation? You've made the donut. It's just a matter of replicating that. It's a matter of making the donut over and over again, making the process of the donut. Okay, I made the plain donut. Now, how do I do the thing that has the sprinkles, that maybe I make the apple fritters now? Maybe I do then you create variation. You do variation off of that. But you may not be making your own donuts anymore. You may be making donuts for somebody else. That's okay. You're giving back. You're providing a service. You're still doing things you love. You're still passionate about that area. So give. Don't just hoard your knowledge and be like, well, I didn't make it, so fuck everybody else. Like, that's not fair. You're just throwing it all away. You feared you weren't good enough. You thought you weren't good enough. But your failures and your non-successes can be somebody else's successes through learning. All job aids are made because somebody did some shit wrong at some point and needed to have the steps to do it right, so that now, from now on, hey, I messed this shit up, so I created this job aid of how to do it right, and here it is for everybody else. They did that. Tutorials. Everybody that did YouTube tutorials was not successful on the first try. Don't let them let you believe that. They had to fail. They had to make mistakes. They had to kind of bust their ass to even get to that point, to be comfortable enough to be able to give themselves to you and share what they learned. It's the truth. Even being here, it takes effort. It takes living through things. It takes making mistakes. Perfect example of that is I recorded this pod, the last pod last week. I did it, didn't have my mic on. Recorded the whole shit. Mic wasn't selected. Too bad. Too bad. Well, that is my time. So I thank everybody for joining me again on the Plain Black Rapper podcast. Please make sure that you like. Please make sure that you subscribe. Please make sure that you share those YouTube clips. Please make sure that you give me feedback. Let me know if it's dope. Let me know if it's not. I need to know. If you're tired of hearing information, or if I'm repeating information, like, let me know. It's okay. I can take the criticism. Feedback, even if it's bad feedback, is better than no feedback, because if it's no feedback, that means you're not listening. So I need I need to know that y'all listening to me. I need to know that y'all engaging with me. So all those that have engaged with me, I salute you. I thank you. I appreciate you. And we'll do this again soon. Difficult roads often lead to most beautiful destinations. Shoot your shot. Go for the win. You might make it. Peace.